Started.
Okay.
We're live, Councillor.
Thank you very much. Well, welcome everybody, and belated Happy New Year greetings. Could I ask you to mute your cameras and your microphones, and no doubt we'll unless you want to speak. Now let's see. First thing we'd have to do would be apologies for absence.
Yes, Chair. So we've had Councillor Giles and Councillor Whitcup for apologies.
Right. Thank you very much. And straight into the minutes of the last meeting. You've all got them on the where are we on your screens, I assume, or your backup screens. I suppose we should go through them page by page to see if there are any things that you want to raise for points of accuracy. So if we're all on that, let's see, it starts on where are we, page 3, all content? Content with page 4? Page 5? Page 6? Anybody on page 6? Hello?
Yeah, sorry, Chair. I can't see my hands up
Yeah,
device at the moment.
no.
It's not so much a matter of accuracy, it's more a matter of matters arising, because we did talk at length about submission of petitions to council and reports, and it does say on page 6 that Head of Law and Regulation advised members that instead of an instant decision, the officers can bring more options to them on how that can work in January. So I was just wondering if you'd had an update on that, please.
Should we pick that up in the matters arising, Chair? If you deal with the accuracy of the minutes first, then we can pick up Councillor Evans' point later.
Fair enough then. And page 7. Page 8. Page 9. That's more or less it, I think, apart from concluded on page 10. So we're all content that that this is an accurate record. Kate, I see you nodding your head. Do you want to?
No, I'm content. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. So I need somebody to second the minutes, as it were. Proposal. Yeah. Proposal second. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well. Yes. Do I need another seconder, Gareth, or that's it? No?
Oh, that's sufficient, Chair.
Okay, that's lovely. So yeah, so we can conclude that that's an accurate record. So as to matters arising from the minutes about the petitions.
Yeah, we haven't lost track of that, Chair. It was just this meeting was specifically about the participation and an engagement strategy. Right. So I know Leanne is doing some work in terms of what other authorities have in place in terms of their petitions. There's reference to it in the participation strategy that is coming up next, but we accept that we need some further work in terms of how we report the petitions. At the moment, they're all being dealt with, but there's no reporting structure in terms of the outcome of those petitions and how they're being responded to and how many we receive. So we're looking at a measure or options as to how they can be reported back, whether they're dealt with through the service planning process, for example, so they're allocated to individual service areas, or whether there's an annual report either to a scrutiny committee or governance and audit committee. So Leanne will bring a range of options back to you at your next meeting on how we take forward the petition scheme.
Kate.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't find the right button here just in a moment. Yeah, I think we actually very briefly, it was mentioned, could feedback be given to elected members on ward issues which may affect their ward? Can we just, could there be a mechanism in place to report back to ward members directly to make sure that they're aware of any petitions that go in for their particular area.
Yes, we
And
can put that as part of the.
Maybe that could be extended as well. You know, many of us now have champion roles. Perhaps that could be extended to update champions. It would be an additional piece of work which they could be involved in. Thank you.
I think, Chair, that's probably more consultation rather than how we deal with the petitions themselves. I mean, clearly at the moment, the petitions are referred to the relevant head of service and cabinet member. But if there's a decision-making process that follows on from that, or any action that's taken operationally, then we just build in that reference then to ward members or other interested members as part of that process. So we can have a look at that. I think we were more concerned about reporting in to either a scrutiny or governance committee in terms of what petitions are being received and how and when they're being responded to. But we can pick up Councillor Thomas's point as part of the overall process about communication, really, and engagement with councillors as part of that response process.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. So the well, we can move on now to the main item of the day. Your thoughts on the participation strategy. Who will lead with that?
Well, Leanne will take you through the report, Chair.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, committee members. So today we are going to be looking at the participation strategy. So this has been to the committee a few times last year. So we came first of all in July to talk about the new legislation and the requirements under that, and talked about the pre-work, sought the views of the committee at that time. In October, there was an update on the key requirements of the strategy and the timeline for the development and implementation. And the last time was in December, when the content of the strategy was presented to seek again the committee's views on the aims and the actions. So today's about presenting the final format and design to the committee and seeking your approval on moving that forward to public consultation in February. So a bit of a reminder, the legislative requirement is under the Local Government and Elections Act Wales 2021. So under that Act, local government is required to publish participation strategy by May 2022. So the requirement is that the strategy should reflect the arrangements of each individual local authority, whilst also meeting the necessary standards of the Act. So the expectation is that councils will build on their existing arrangements and then move towards greater participation under the strategy. So under the legislation, the council has a duty to encourage residents to participate in decision making and publish the strategy, specifying how it proposes to do that. So as a minimum, each strategy must be reviewed after every local election, but that can be on a more frequent basis if the local authority chooses. So there are a number of key areas that the Act must address. So it has to include ways of promoting awareness amongst local people of the council's functions. It has to promote awareness to residents on how to become a member of council and what that membership entails. It has to facilitate access to people around information and decisions made, and those that will be made by the council. It also has to promote and facilitate ways for residents to make representations to the council about a decision either before or after it's been made. There's also a requirement around scrutiny for the purpose of bringing views of the public to the attention of the overview and scrutiny committees. And the last one is around promoting awareness of the benefits of using social media to our elected members. So the proposed strategy defines how Newport City Council does this, but it also includes actions for the progression and development of increased participation in the future. The consultation that we must move forward to is around 30 days, so it is a statutory consultation. The way this will be done is primarily online, so we would use public Wi-Fi around the city. We'd also promote it in Newport Matters, and we'd also use QR codes in some of the places which do have footfall, so that residents could just scan the code and then that would pop up on their smartphone. They'd be able to fill out the survey. Unfortunately, we're still in a position where, due to COVID restrictions, we aren't looking to do face-to-face consultation on this at present. But we will be looking to do some engagement with some of the harder to reach groups through our partnership links. So there aren't any financial implications to moving forward to consultation, but there is the risk of not publishing by May 2022, which is when we're required to. I'd just like the committee to note that there are 7 pages of the strategy that have been finalised in terms of the design and formatting for you to look at. That is in the full consultation document. There are about 5 more pages to go, but because we've brought the date of the meeting forward, or the date of the work required forward a couple of weeks, there wasn't a chance for us to get the last 5 pages to be completed. But I think the 7 pages does give a really good flavour of what it will look like and how it matches in with some of our other published strategies in terms of the design. And then the Word document included in the papers gives the last few pages that we have reviewed before. The strategy does link to our plans. There's quite a crossover there. So the corporate plan, it involves the citizen role and tailoring our approach. So this does meet those requirements, and also about enabling the public to be involved in decision making. With strategic equality, this is about considering diverse needs of residents and making sure that when we're designing ways of participation, they're inclusive of everyone, and also about making evidence-based decisions so that we are making sure we're including the voice of our residents as part of that decision making and connecting people to where they live through making them feel more involved. And under the wellbeing plan, again, this is about involving people and ensuring they're involved in decisions that affect them. So there is quite a join up with our other key priorities and other plans. So the options for the committee today are we could move forward and take this to consultation in February. That would keep our timeline on track, and we'd have opportunity then to bring back the results of the consultation to the committee towards the end of March, and then it would go to full council for adoption. There is opportunity to make some tweaks to the strategy, but obviously we have looked at the content in quite some detail previously, and any sort of key changes are going to have some impact on the timeline at this stage. So I think that's it for me for the presentation, Chair.
Thank you, Dan. There we are. Well, committee comments, please, observations. To me, it seems a very polished work.
So Matthew Evans has indicated. Matthew?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. No, I'm very happy for it to go forward for consultation. Thankfully, it's brief. Far too many of these are far too long-winded. I'd like to know what the actual questions, whether the public are going to be, what they're going to be asked, because again, you're going to switch people off if you start asking them 2 pages or 3 pages of information. But I gather I don't think many people are going to look at it, to be honest. I don't think it's high in the public's role at the moment. We noticed when we had the public space protection order, we had what 70 responses over a massive article which affected the whole of the city. So yeah, I'm happy for it to go forward.
Phil, you indicated manually.
Yes, yes, please. I think we knocked about on another issue, the whole method of consultations, and as long as the minutes show that the committee still has reservations about the way the consultations are conducted, I think we accepted what the officers told us why they couldn't do different types of consultations at this time. I'm content that it goes ahead. Thank you.
I got James and Trevor. So James is first, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Hope I'm slightly a bit more positive in regards to people looking at it, but I think the key is if the people do look at it, yeah, there's a good content there, and I think that's what it's about. So yeah, I'm as I said, I'm hoping sort of, and by the sound of it, what's been said ahead of me, everyone's happy with it. For me, the content's there, and I'm hoping people will look at it. So I'm more than happy, Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay, Trevor.
Thank you, Chair. One thing well, a number of things really. One is, I think it's up to councillors to promote it. You know, there are ways and means of promoting this. I am happy with the content. It's from 2022 to 2026. What happens if Welsh Government puts legislation in place to change, alter, amend any of the details which we put forward or agree on after the consultation? Does that come back to the Democratic Services, or do we just take it as read? Thank you, Chair.
Good point.
It comes back to Democratic Services Committee. As Leanne was saying, the format of this document complies with the current legislation. Now, if during the course of that period there's any change in the legislative requirement or the framework of the document, we will bring it back to committee, and we will have to comply with the legislation. So if there's any legislative change, we will bring it back automatically. But I think, as the chair was saying, this is intended as a dynamic document. This is not a finished product. This is very much a starting point for that 5-year period, and it's open for committee to review the constituent parts of that plan at any time during the 5-year period. We've already touched on work that needs to be done on the petition scheme, for example, and the petition scheme, there's a link to that and a cross-reference to that in this document. So as part of the action plan going forward, we already know committee will need to look at petitions, for example, and there will be other parts of this document that links into other participation strategies that will need to be improved as we're going along. The important part of this document is not so much the objectives, because they're set in legislation, and if they change, we'll have to bring the report back to committee. The important bit, the dynamic bit, are the actions and the measures in terms of how effective this is, and what actions you're going to put in place or agree as a committee to try and improve that. And you know, we've already mentioned concerns about how effective our public engagement consultation process is, and whether we can improve on that. That again will be part of this review going forward. So at this stage, the intention is to have this benchmark document in place by May, and then you'll use that as a basis of a forward work programme and action plan in terms of future improvements and developments. So it's not the finished article. All we're asking members to have a look at is whether you're happy with the format and the look of the document, the look and feel of it, and also whether you think we've got the right actions and measures there in terms of future improvements. So just to put it in context, we know there's a lot of work to be done, and this is just the starting point rather than the finished article in terms of the document.
Yeah, I understand that, Gareth, but I was more concerned if Welsh Government came in and said, OK, you have to have some form of public participation in scrutiny committees or anything like that. If they come back to that, then it has to come back to committee to be put into the document as such. That's what I was mainly concerned about.
Yeah, absolutely clear on that. If Welsh Government prescribe any changes, in terms of legislative changes or regulations or guidance, then obviously we will have to change what's in this document. I have to say their approach currently has been to allow councils flexibility to put whatever they want in their strategy, provided it complies with those 4 objectives. So their approach at the moment is not to be prescriptive. But you're quite right. If the legislation or regulations changed and we had to put something in there, then we would bring it back to committee, and we would do that as a matter of course.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Gareth. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks.
Okay. So we don't vote on this, but I think we can conclude. Please correct me, committee, if I'm putting words in your mouth or if I'm wrong. But we are content with it as it stands at the moment, and look forward to seeing further work on the on it. That seems to be a fair impression, I think. We're all in agreement there? Yeah, I assume so. There we are.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Committee.
Yeah, and of course there is some pressure time-wise to get this concluded by May. I understand. Yeah, okay.
Well, just to be clear on the timescale then, Chair, now the committee has agreed to go to public consultation on the draft. As Leanne was saying, that will be out for consultation for 30 days. So what we will endeavour to do is bring this back to you at a committee meeting, probably at the end of March, with a view to you signing off the final document. That will then go forward as a recommendation to council, probably in April then, to get the final document signed off before the elections in May.
Yeah, okay, and so that may necessitate an extra meeting or two, yeah?
Not that one, because you've got a scheduled meeting in March. We'll come on to the other meetings later, but there may be a need to schedule some other meetings in February just to pick up some other items of business.
Right, okay. I'm sure we'll all cooperate with that. We'll see that we leave the place. We won't have to apologise to any incoming councillors. Sorry about, what was the expression? Sorry about the mess, old cock, wasn't it? As they said at the Treasury after some election some years ago. Right. Okay, so what's the next item then, Gareth? We've got it's the from information only, I believe, on the Constitution.
Yeah, the last item is just for information. It's the latest guide to the Constitution. It was issued just before the agenda was published, so we thought it was an opportune moment just to circulate that to members to give you an indication of the current draft. As you're aware, we have to redraft the Constitution anyway between now and May, in line with the new model Constitution, and just to update the decision-making processes in line with the new legislation. So we're doing that. But the Local Government and Elections Act also includes a requirement for councils to publish a guide to its constitution. And this links into what was contained in the public engagement strategy, if you like, in trying to make information more accessible to the public about the council decision-making processes and decisions that have been taken. So I know it runs to 42 pages, but I think that gives you some idea about the length of the Constitution itself. It's a signpost really for members of the public to try and find what they need in terms of decisions and decision making within the council's constitution. We'll need to format it in terms of the look and feel of the document, in terms of our sort of corporate imaging, a bit like what we did previously with the participation strategy. So it will look and feel different to what you've got there. And there will be sections that we will need to change to reflect our structures and our governance arrangements. But it's just an indication of the model now that's being recommended to all councils in Wales in terms of this public guide to the Constitution. So we'll do some more work on that, and we'll bring that back to you at a future meeting. But that's the latest draft in terms of the guide to the Constitution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the Constitution, as you've previously mentioned, runs to about 1,000 pages, but at least it shows that there could be a framework where that's made more manageable, more understandable, really. Let's hope that this does that.
Well, I think the idea is to try and make the whole Constitution more understandable, but I think we'll struggle to shorten or abridge the Constitution. The idea of this guide is that people can find what they need within that Constitution more easily. Yeah. I'm conscious of the fact. I mean, the current modular Constitution that goes back over 20 years now was fit for purpose at the time, but probably isn't now in terms of how things have changed over the past 20-25 years. And I think those people who've tried to sort of navigate our current Constitution on the website will struggle sometimes to actually get to where they want to get to. And the whole idea of this new modular Constitution is to have everything in one particular section. So, for example, with cabinet meetings, everything you need to know about schemes of delegation, rules of procedure, and so on will be in one section. And that guide then will refer people to that section of the Constitution if they want to find out about cabinet decisions. So the whole process is designed to try and simplify it and make the governance information more accessible and understandable to the public.
Well, that would be very welcome. I think it would be. Well, I think we don't have to vote.
What is indicated, sorry, in the chat box?
Trevor, I didn't see that. Trevor, please.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I had a quick look at it, to be quite honest, Gareth, and it looks far simpler than just going onto the council website. Although we still have to go to the Constitution, you've got an index there of where and what you want to look at, and it will actually take you to that particular item. And I think, okay, let's go for it and let's see what happens. I'm happy with that as it stands at the moment with an index. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Matthew.
Yeah, I'm sure the public are going to be rushing, waiting with eager anticipation when the final one comes out. And so it's just literally a point of accuracy. I did recall looking in there, and I think when you talked about roles, there was a reference to the Leader of the Opposition and the Deputy Leader of the Opposition. So I think that probably needs amending to whatever term you want to.
Just to explain, Chair, this was just a document that's been sent out by the WLGA. It's a generic document. We haven't changed or amended this at all yet to the Newport model. So Councillor Evans can rest assured that this will need significant adaptation to reflect the current situation in Newport.
Thank you.
Any further thoughts? No. Well, I think that's it. We all seem to be looking forward to its completion. What else do we have, Gareth? Basically, date of next meeting or anything else, or what?
No other items of business. I think we flagged up in terms of future meetings. The next scheduled meeting will be probably the end of March in terms of agreeing the final public participation in an engagement strategy. But we've already talked about petitions. We've talked about the guide to the Constitution. There may be items of business that will come up between now and that meeting in March. So we just wanted to flag up that there may be a need to have a meeting sometime towards the end of February, just so we can pick up some of the ongoing pieces of work that we still need to deal with. We had hoped we'd have more information, for example, about the member training and development programme that we could have brought before you for this meeting, but nothing has been forthcoming yet. So hopefully by the end of February we'll have a lot more information about the induction programme and the preparations for the for the May elections and what needs to be done post May. So yeah, just to flag up that if members are available, we might need to put in another meeting, maybe sometime at the end of February, as well as the one in March, simply because of the volume of work that we've got to transact between now and May.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that? I'm sure we're all pitching as best we can. Kate?
Yes, agreed. Is that likely to be the 22nd of February, Gareth?
I don't think we've fixed a date yet, but I mean, if members could let us know their availability, we could put a provisional date in towards the end of February.
Okay. So I had the 17th of February in my diary, but that must have changed from. I think it'd be useful if we do at least put a date in for the March one.
Yeah. Would members like to do, say, a definite one for March for Wednesday the 30th of March at 10 AM, and then we could do maybe an interim one for February as a provisional date? Should we say Friday the 25th of February at 10 AM? And then if, information comes in then, or if it doesn't, we'll let members know well in advance.
So we're talking about, let's do this again. 10 AM on February the 25th, yeah?
Yeah.
That's all right with me. Wait a minute.
And then there's the Wednesday, the 30th of March. And the same time again at 10 AM.
Let's see, Wednesday, sorry, pardon me, 30th of March.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, happy with that.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Chair, on the,
Yeah.
on both of those dates, we normally have a police surgery in Newport East, which all Newport East councillors are invited to, and it usually falls on the last Friday of the month. I do appreciate it's very difficult, and officers work really hard to make sure there aren't any conflicts. It's so late in the year, it's very difficult to guarantee attendance.
Yeah.
Obviously, all these dates were set out at the beginning of the council year.
I'm okay on the 25th, I think, but there might be a problem about the 31st, because I think I'm in the employment tribunal that week. But
that one was the 30th, Mark.
30th.
sorry, the 30th. I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
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 I'll have to check.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, we do appreciate that we're under a bit of pressure here to get this done for May. Yeah. Yeah. There we are. Okay, so that's it.
So the 30th is a Wednesday, Chair. So I don't know whether that causes any difficulty. I think it was the 25th that was the Friday that was the problem.
Yeah.
Would Monday the 28th of February be any better for the members? At the same time for 10 AM?
What's the thoughts? Would that be better, Phil?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Officer.
Thank you.
Okay. So everybody happy if we shift now? So we're not going to have it on the Friday the 25th. Let's have a line through that. Hang on. We move forward a couple of days, and we can have it on the 28th, which is the Monday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
Okay. All right. Right. Okay. That's lovely. So here we are. Yeah, we'll go with those dates. Yeah.
Thank you,
All
Chair.
happy? All happy. Okay, that's good. Right. I don't think there's anything else. Apart from thank you for attending this morning. And see you soon, no doubt, albeit virtually. There we are. I have to come. Okay, that is a lovely backdrop. You're like Kathy on the moors in Wuthering